Welcome back, and in this video we're going to talk about physical support and repair. And look, this is so important because when we talk about the 7 pillars, and we've spoken already about nervous system, now we're into the physical aspect of your body. I know that you understand that physical pain is debilitating. It limits you. If you've got arthritic and degenerative conditions, it can stop you from opening jars, or it can stop you from bending over, and in fact it can limit you in so many ways, and I recognize and acknowledge that. And I just am so hopeful that this message is so well received by you that you implement and apply it so that you can recapture that mobility, because I know how debilitating it is and how it robs you of the expression of life. But to understand how physical disrepair takes place, we need to firstly understand a little bit about the physical body and then what takes place over time. So the first thing is, here's what we call a subluxation degeneration. And a subluxation is a nervous system and structural aspect to the body where there's interference to the normal physical and therefore neurological function. And I'm not going to go through that in significant detail here, but what we see with the spine is it alters over time. You're meant to have, here's a picture of a silent person, a lovely curve called your cervical lordosis here, then a thoracic kyphosis and a lumbar lordosis here. So the curve goes that way and then inwards. That is normal. And when we look at like on an x-ray, normal curve, normal curve, normal curve. So what happens with arthritic and degenerative conditions is whether we have physical trauma, chemical trauma or emotional trauma, and you can't separate those out in the physiology of the body, by the way. So you might say, well, I can understand that I've got arthritis because, you know, I've been a boxer in a boxing ring and I've had my head punched thousands of times. And I know that's not you, by the way, but you can imagine that that would create damage to the neck. Or if you had car accidents and falls and landed on your head in skiing accidents, and you can imagine that it might cause trauma. And that's why we're going to talk about physical trauma here today. But don't think for a moment that biochemical trauma, such as inflammation and the wrong foods and chemical accumulation in the body, can't also produce inflammatory and therefore degenerative processes. And it can. Or that stress in itself can't produce a similar outcome. It does, because think about it. If you're stressed and you're tight, and you're like, everything tightens up as well, and it creates change within the body. But firstly, what we want to know and understand is what happens in degenerative conditions in the physical body, and how do we, one, not repair because we're designed to, and then how can we facilitate repair because that is what is possible for you. Well, the first thing is, if you have this textbook normal, near normal spine, and you accumulate a physical trauma, you may have a fall, a bump, a spill or an accident, a car accident, you may even have a trip, then you can produce what's called a subluxation, a mechanical default in the spine that starts to produce tightness, and the body has to adapt to that tightness and work harder to compensate. In addition to that, you may become locked there and you simply adapt to that, and it becomes tight over time, and then you lose your posture as you go forward, and that loss of posture can result in extra load on joints, and that additional load leads to early wear and tear. That early wear and tear becomes arthritic or degenerative in process. So what arthritis is an unaddressed physical trauma. Hold that thought, an unaddressed physical trauma. Did you ever have a fall, a bump or a spill? Did you ever have a car accident? Did you ever have any other type of accident? Did you sit at a desk for 6-8 hours a day typing like that? Or did you work on a job site where you're hammering, or in bizarre positions in cars doing mechanical work? Have you put physical trauma and stresses into your body and not had them addressed? Not gone to a chiropractor, not analysed and detected whether there was a subluxation or a degenerative process present? And if the answer is, well, no, I didn't think to do that, that's why there's an increased load and increased pressure on the spine that is accelerating the degeneration and disrepair. And that's why this is a real great opportunity for you to understand that becoming your first stage of degeneration, and throughout all of those elements, it can progress and deteriorate over time until such time as you identify the cause, remove that cause, restore structural integrity, and put a repair process in place for your spine, for your nervous system, for the joints of your body, not just your spine, and trigger that healing response. Now, I just want to quickly show you a little bit more close up in relation to that, what that might look like, because you have this beautiful disc here and beautiful vertebra on this side here, meant to have big plump discs, and meant to have, healthy disc inside as well. but you can squish this disc here. This is like a flattened disc, so and you can inflame that disc in the middle as well. And so you can go through these stages of degeneration where you can then prolapse the disc and cause that to break out, and there can be these little parts that stick out there, and then the bone spurs start to become degenerate, and then it can actually get really advanced degeneration, and the disc can become desiccated, just like desiccated coconut, and that can result in significant disc repair. So you move in that journey and progression of arthritic and degenerative and disc change, as long as you don't interfere with the degenerative process. And that's what we want you to do. We know to create physical repair, healing and regeneration, you need to do things that support your physical repair and regeneration. And that includes doing exercise, stretch, strength and condition, balance, coordination, all of those elements. We need to look at chiropractic work to restore integrity to the spine and nervous system. We need to look at postural work to correct your posture, your integrity of your spine. And when you do this, then you break the pattern of degeneration. You remove interference to the healing process that is there by restoring integrity, and then the body begins to be able to move in the direction of healing and repair. That regeneration process is truly available and possible for you, and that's why we put this video series together, to bring you, a level of awareness of a total healing blueprint for arthritis. And it begins with nervous system integrity and restoring your physical optimization. If you can do that, you're well on the way to a total healing blueprint for arthritis. I'll see you on the next video.